Welcome to this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, sponsored by Bayou Beat, BayouBeatNews.com. I am, of course, KG Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. And joining me again, she's a regular contributor to this show and many other shows, is Miss Kenitra Pulliams. But first, BayouBeatNews.com, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. Thank you once again, Ms. Nakia Cooper, for sponsoring this show, and I hope this is the beginning of a lovely working relationship going forward that lasts a long, long time. Ms. Kenitra Pulliams, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Chris. It's starting to feel like the holidays.
Because of the weather? Because you know it's going to change here in
Exactly.
South Texas. So that will change, like, you know.
It'll change Friday.
It's like, right.
Because what was it? 80? Was it yesterday? This week it was
80 Monday, 70-ish Tuesday, and cool Wednesday, and cool Thursday, and then warm Friday, you know.
And rain. There you go.
And rain. So all those great things. All right. This, as we speak, was announced roughly Wednesday evening. I'm very curious as your thoughts on the announcement. I guess it is now official that North Carolina has decided to hire Bill Belichick as their new football head coach. 3-year deal, $30 million. Your thoughts?
Why? Like.
Thank you. Really, that's it right there. Right.
Like Bill. Like, are you not happy doing the Manning cast on Monday nights? You know, like, I don't. Like, you want to really get back into the grind of coaching at the collegiate level that is different. I mean, with NIL, there are a lot of coaches who get out of the game because of NIL.
One of your friends, Nick Saban.
Exactly. But yet he wants to stick his toe back. And again, maybe if it was, yes, ACC is a power conference. If it was the SEC, okay, maybe. But ACC and like an average ACC team at that, like there's a lot of, I mean, like if he wants to work hard, you know, we'll see what he can assemble as far as his staff. You know, it's crazy, you know, when you have ACC, I mean, because the ACC, now with the addition of the former Pac-12 schools, like, okay, so now you're crisscrossing the country.
And SMU.
And SMU. But I mean, was he just bored? Like just wanted to do, had to have something to do. I don't know.
All of this raises my eyebrows from his perspective, from North Carolina's perspective. North Carolina is a basketball school.
Mm-hmm.
Hubert Davis
will always
be a basketball school. And when Mac Brown was let go for the second time, one of the things that the AD, Mr. Bubba Cunningham, said he wanted to get younger. Well, technically he did get younger by a whole
year.
8 months. 8 months. So from their perspective, Bill Belichick, I think, was bored. I think he was disappointed in the lack of offers he got last offseason in the NFL. I think he's a control freak. So that is one thing. Going back to college, or going to college, would be his first college head coaching gig, will allow him, because he'll be in charge. You know, he can have an iron fist and kind of do like he did with the Patriots toward the end there when he was GM. And
but I mean, but if you
things. Go ahead.
But besides NIL, if you look at kind of the Stanford model of like what they're doing with Andrew Luck. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, they're a private school and Carolina's a state school. But you bring in Andrew Luck as your GM, not your director of operations, but just kind of your GM.
Right.
Will that create kind of a follow the leader type of model in college football to where other programs hire GMs? And if so, like, will Bill Belichick allow that to happen at Carolina, or does he want complete control?
And see, that's the thing, and I forgot the person's name. He reported Tuesday that part of Belichick's interview process, he presented Carolina people, the board members, a 400-page dossier of his plans for NC football, including a general manager, including all these different things regarding NIL. He wants to run the Tar Heels like a pro team, a pro program, just in college. So it sounds good. And, you know, some of my friends said when they heard about it, first reaction was like you, why? But also, so it's another example of college football becoming more like the NFL. That's legit. But my thing is, there's no Tom Brady. Okay, as great as Bill Belichick did a great job winning in the NFL. As a head coach before Tom Brady, what was he doing? What was his record? It wasn't very good. With the Browns, we had Willie Gilman on. He could give some great examples of time when Belichick was there as coach of the Browns. Not great success. Now, granted, the man won with his players 6 Super Bowls. So that's the most. So that is a hell of an accomplishment. But the NFL is not college. As much as I bash college and call it semi-pro and all those kind of things, it's still different. The rules are different. Recruiting is different. How many of these young student assets care who Bill Belichick is?
Only reason they care is because they'll all be like, he knows what it takes to make it at the highest level, to get to where I want to go. I want to be a pro. I want to play in the NFL. He's coached there. So that's what they'll say.
That's what they'll say, yes.
But can they relate to him?
And can he relate to them? You know, he's not Coach Prime. Okay, Coach Prime.
His girlfriend is closer in age to the players that he will be coaching.
I didn't want to go there, but I'm glad you did.
It's just an observation.
It is, because she is young. I don't know who she is. I know she's young, and I saw some jokes on social media about her age and will she be on scholarship or something like that at Carolina, things like that.
Friend of the program.
So I'm curious to see how this works. It's a 3-year deal, which is kind of short. You know, I mean, heck, he's 72 years old, which is another factor. He's old. And I'm not an ageist.
Yeah.
In college football, especially nowadays, you have to relate to your players.
No, yeah.
You have to relate to your boosters. You have to, the younger boosters too. Because you got to convince the collective, hey, we need this money for these players. They're going to cost us, you know, whatever, $10, $20 million a year. And revenue sharing is around the corner. How are you going to deal with that? Will that just be the job of the GM? How is all this going to work? Carolina couldn't wait until after the bowl season to get a younger, more qualified.
I mean, and that's the thing is, like, so they waited until after early signing period. They waited until after the transfer portal opened on Monday, but before the bowl game.
Yep. So, you know, I'm curious to see how it works. Because I don't have a dog in the fight.
And I mean, and that's the thing, you know, we know how recruiting works. The fact that it's only a 3-year deal, when coaches are near the end of their current deals, other coaches use that against them. He's not going to be around. Yeah. Why would you want to go there?
Yeah, his contract is not even a
It's not even a full cycle.
cycle. So that's
I
another
mean,
thing.
granted, in this day and age, not many kids stay for 4 or 5 years, but still, how do you go into, because, and the thing is, you don't just recruit for next season. You'll have junior day and you'll bring kids on campus, and or you go into someone's home. How do you sit there and tell a student asset, as you put it, their parent, hey, I'm going to look out for your son throughout his college career? No, you're going to say, I'll look out for him next year.
Yeah. And he has to recruit, and then he has to recruit his current players to get them to stay, and then do it again. So this is a whole nother world.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the first year is going to be a wash.
I would think so. Yeah, I would expect so. Yeah.
Remember what Willie Fritz said last week at signing day. Like, he spent the first year playing catch up because when he was hired in December, it's almost the same thing for Belichick.
And
now granted, do you sit there and I'm not familiar with the Tar Heels signing class, but do you go in and release all of those kids from their national letters of intent?
A whole 9 signed so far. 9.
Do you release them? Do they ask to be released because they don't want to play for you?
That's part of it. The quarterback who did commit, he did not sign because Mac Brown was let go.
Mm-hmm.
So he was waiting to see what's going to happen, and who's to say he's going to be, well, Bill Belichick, yeah, still the same guy who ran Tom Brady off. Yeah, I don't think I want, how's he going to answer that question to some of the quarterbacks?
Sure.
Coach, what happened with you and Tom Brady? Why did it go sour?
Yeah.
Well, Tom and I just started to grow apart, and we just, Coach, it's Tom Brady.
But I spoke at his roast.
So it's different things like that. We touched on a little bit. Well, you did about the transfer portal window opening, part of the calendar. Lane Kiffin said it's a dumb system. It is, and I don't know how. Like, what's wrong with having the portal open after bowl season?
Right.
Does that make too much sense?
Yeah, because essentially that gives you almost a month until signing day.
Yeah, so what's wrong with that?
Right.
How is it fair to have it open now with teams competing in bowl games, the CFP, and coaches leaving?
Mm-hmm.
Marshall, a lot of players enter the portal after their coach left for Southern Miss.
Sure.
Where's the logic? I guess this is more proof that common sense is not always common.
Right.
So it's another.
And that's the thing. It's like the shuffling isn't done because you have the assistant coaches who maybe they wanted to stay at Carolina. Well, now they don't necessarily vibe with Belichick, so he's going to wish them well. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of, it's not just head coaches that are changing. It's the entire, it's OCs and DCs, who are changing as well. So there are a lot of moving pieces. Meanwhile, coaches are trying to, game plan for CFP,
right,
or for bowl games.
And speaking of CFP, very good, Ms. Pulliams, very good. You're a professional at this. Earlier this week, the committee announced the 12 teams for the CFP, the playoffs. Your thoughts on the 1 through 12? Anything surprise you? Well, I'm going to jump the gun.
Okay.
Because you're going to have the floor more of this than me. I was basketball or something when everything was announced. Even though logically, SMU should have been instead of Alabama. Logically, I was still shocked that the committee kept Alabama out and put SMU in after SMU lost in the ACC championship game to Clemson. Go ahead. You can have the floor. The floor is yours.
If SMU would have gotten blown out, do you think they still would have been included? If they wouldn't have lost at the final whistle?
I'd have been. The committee would have spun it that way. They just were not competitive enough in the ACC title game, so we felt like going with Alabama was, whatever.
Sure. So do you think it would have been a different selection?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like, Alabama can state its case about, strength of schedule. But you have Ward Manuel, CFP chairman, who said, we're not going to penalize teams who play an extra game, who qualify for their respective conference championship games, especially, in a competitive game. Mm-hmm. So would you want to reward Alabama over an SMU team that's a decently long field goal away from being named ACC champs in their first year in the conference? I don't really have a problem with the inclusion of SMU over Alabama. You have the traditionalists who are just like, hey, SEC, it means more. But it's not just brand over current results. And so I think that's why SMU got picked. As far as seeding, I mean, it's a hard. There are a lot of variables, and there's no perfect solution. Just because a team makes it in doesn't mean they're necessarily seeded correctly. So that's the hard part about the automatic bids and the top 4 seeds, because you have the AP ranking, you have the CFP ranking, and then you have the seeding. So that's a hard thing. And so maybe, yes, this is year 1 of the expanded CFP model. So maybe, you learn some lessons and then you tweak it and then you improve it. I mean, kind of like what Steve Sarkisian said about this. He's like, you can compare it to maybe how NCAA basketball does. Just because you win your conference tournament and you get the automatic bid, for your league into the conference tournament doesn't mean you're number 1 seed or you're a top 4 seed. So maybe that can be followed in the CFP model.
1 through 12. You have a problem with anything? Oregon being 1, Georgia 2, Boise State 3.
I mean, the Boise State one, you're like, I mean, yeah. I mean, you can only play the schedule that's in front of you. You can't play. This isn't fantasy football. I mean, so you play. So people will be like, but they're not a Power 4 school,
right?
But I mean, they were competitive against Oregon. But at the same time, Mountain West Conference, whoop-de-doo.
The metrics say Arizona State, Big 12 schools had better numbers, strength of schedule, all those things than Boise State. But Boise State is 3, Arizona State is 4. Arizona State, by the way, was picked preseason Big 12 dead last. So, dead last, and they won the conference.
Yeah.
And ran over Iowa State, yes. Ran over.
Literally. Scatter.
Yes. So, Longhorns 5, Penn State 6, the Fighting Irish 7, Ohio State, Mr. Gibson, sorry sir, 8, Tennessee 9, Indiana 10, SMU 11, and then Clemson, the ACC champ, 12, who beat SMU, but Clemson would not have been in without winning the title game, so that's why they got the 12th spot. First round matchups. And Indiana, in-state matchup. Indiana at Notre Dame.
And that's the thing. If it's an answer pots and pans and the whole world would be a kitchen, Clemson wouldn't have been in if Syracuse didn't win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, the whole reason they had the opportunity to make the playoff, to make the ACC title game, is because they had help from Syracuse.
Yep, Miami. But the first round matchups, any one of those four you're looking forward to watching? Are you going to watch any of the CFP?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, you're a football person.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll definitely watch Texas Clemson. Yep. Definitely.
Give me you got any predictions? First one, December 20th. Hoosiers at Notre Dame.
I mean, it's a nice regional matchup. Mm-hmm. No team is literally out of its element. Mm-hmm. I mean, Indiana was, they were solid and that's the thing is like, do you take brand or do you just take, a team that had a successful season? So I don't have a pick over either one of those.
SMU at Penn State.
I think SMU has better quarterback.
Okay.
But I like James Franklin.
Clemson at Texas.
But there's a lot of good storylines in that.
Are you being objective or are you being an alum?
No, objective. Club Nick, Texas kid. You have a lot of guys who were like teammates or playing against each other in the state championship game at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. You have the story of Dabo Swinney standing next to Sarkisian on the sideline, watching the state playoffs, watching their guys, not knowing that, we're going to coach these guys in a few years. So there are a lot of subplots, in that one.
Tennessee, Ohio State. Out of those four matchups, is there one you most want to see?
As a fan and as an alum, definitely Texas. But I think Tennessee, Ohio State is very intriguing.
Of those 8 teams, which of those 8 has the best chance to win it all?
Of the top 8?
No. Those first round matchups. Those 8 teams playing in the first round. Because Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, and Ohio State have a bye.
I'd say Ohio State.
Okay. Because quarterfinals, the winner, that's the schedule for those teams that advance. Who do you think out of those?
Well, see, there's a lot of question marks with Georgia, their quarterback situation, because elbow is no joke.
Yes, very true.
And Carson Beck had to come in for the final snap, but his arm was dead. His shoulder was not happening. So that and your punter's gone for the year. So. Winner of Indiana Notre Dame might be but again, a bye might help some things because his status is listed as out indefinitely. Not really explaining the extent of the injury, but we'll see. So, Arizona State, they just have put it together at the right time, but. They don't have the leading receiver either.
Correct. Do you think Arizona State's run game could work against either Clemson or Texas?
It could, but I think, Texas's defense is salty.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Is Oregon the favorite? Obviously, they're the 1 seed, but in your opinion, they're the best team.
Sure. I think, yeah.
would they? Do you believe they'd have difficulty with either Tennessee or Ohio State?
I mean,
Any given whatever that day is, Friday, Saturday,
exactly
Wednesday,
on any one day, and it could happen, and then the same thing. It depends on, are there any notable injuries that happen in the first round while they're sitting at home scouting, game planning, and resting.
Fair enough. All right. See, this is a lot of football talk for me, a basketball guy. So just letting everyone know this weekend I can do different things here on the Takeover. You're watching the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, but also sponsored by Bayou Beat. Oh, I forgot to mention this. The Takeover is also available via the BS3. Network on Roku. Yes, Roku TV. If you have a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. If not, just go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. We're near the bottom of the hour of the show. A little bit early, but want to play the promo, tie it all in with the segue there. And then after the promo, we're going to talk some hoops. A lot of different hoops. Some Danny Hurley hoops, but a lot of SEC men's basketball hoops, and they deserve it. My goodness, some of the numbers I saw. Whew, this might be the best non-conference that a conference put together ever. but you are watching the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat News, here on Roku via the BS3 Network. Be back in 35 seconds.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of Lunch Break, sponsored by Bayou Beat, BayouBeatNews.com. Yes, one more time, BayouBeatNews.com. Bayou Beat, bringing that southern love to your daily news coverage. Huge shout out, as always, to Miss Nakia Cooper for supporting and sponsoring this show for this month, January and February, and hopefully long term. So KP, cross your fingers and toes and all that. That sponsorship becomes permanent. How about that? But
sounds good.
Back at it on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat. I am KG Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, and with me is colleague Miss Kenitra Pulliams. First half of the show, we talk football. KP knows sports. Okay, she knows all the sports. Football is one of those sports. Now we're going to talk basketball. I know basketball. She knows basketball too. but like I said, she knows sports. I know hoops. I still know, I dabble in other those sports, not baseball. That day is long gone and dead. That horse is dead.
No one-sided hype?
Hell of a contract. That could eventually lead to another work stoppage coming down the line. But because the small market teams, how are they going to compete? I mean, but I am always in favor of players getting that bag.
Yeah.
So no team, no ownership is going to say, Juan, man, that $51 million average we're paying you is too much. It's we made a mistake. We meant to make it $5.1 million. It's too much. So take some. We're going to take some. No, you're not. So hey, as Willie Gibson says, there was no gun put to his head to sign that contract. They offered that money. He signed it. Good for him.
Yeah. Shohei moves across town. Someone moves across town. Hey.
if anyone wants to sign KP and me to a 15-year deal for $700 and whatever $1 million it is, let us sign. Tell me where to sign. And she feels the same way.
Yes.
No question. But Kanisha sent me this. She texted me this. I missed it. Did not know about it. But UConn head coach, men's head coach, Danny Hurley, basketball, said publicly after UConn's 0-3 trip to Maui, that he was not going to play any more 3-game MTEs in the future anymore. Multi-team events. My colleague, David Borges, who's one of the beat writers for UConn men's hoops for the Connecticut Insider, said that Danny Hurley had made similar comments privately to the beat writers, but also to the AD, UConn AD, David Benedict, prior to that. So it wasn't news to them. Here's the quote via David Borges that Coach Hurley said prior to Maui. I'm kind of curious about this. What's your thoughts on this because of the money part of it, revenue? With the non-conference, rather than a third party, when you're in a revenue-sharing situation like we're heading into now, you've got to maximize the non-conference slate, said Hurley. We still want to play neutral site games, particularly like MSG, Madison Square Garden, in places that make sense. But we've got to play a schedule that's going to have more home and homes on it than anything else right now, end quote. Revenue sharing is important.
Right.
Very important, especially UConn, because, you know, football, there's not a Power 4 conference. How much money are they going to get playing at MSG against anybody? And you mentioned to me.
But, I mean, it's not just that. It's also a recruiting tool.
That too.
And the fact that the Big East tournament is at MSG.
Sure.
You know, so like, you know, and that's a lot of the reason, like, Duke considers New York.
Yeah, they do.
Part of its home away from home. It's Cameron Indoor North. You know, so it's, you know, you can bring in kids on visits. You know, you're playing at, we're, you know, yes, you know, Cameron Indoor Stadium, Allen Fieldhouse, you know, they have that lure, that attraction, but at the same time, when you have these neutral site games, but you see the support from your fan base for teams out of your state, out of your region, like, oh, okay, so we travel well. Also, same thing with the NCAA tournament. Like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're playing in a different time zone when you know that you have a fan base, a large fan base that calls said city home. That you know that, you know, you're gonna have that support, and it also helps that, you know, especially if you sign kids from all over the country, not just, you know, in your state. To be able to have a return trip or have a game in said player's state to where, oh, okay, hey, you know, we get a kid from California, okay, we'll go play a game in California or Vegas, you know, so like it's
there we go.
You know,
yes,
you know
this is where I'm going.
Well, you know, that's the thing. It's just like, you know, with these new models of, yeah. Maui Invitational, like remember the days of, you know, it used to be like Great Alaska Shootout used to be like, you know, a marquee event, and now it's just like
late to watch those games. Yeah, when I was younger, I could do that.
Yeah,
your points are legit, but regarding the revenue part, especially the home and homes, how are they going to pay these kids NIL going forward? Like the Maui. What's Matt's last name? Oh my goodness, Matt. It'll come to that. Matt Baker, my Matt.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Times. That's what I'm thinking of. Matt Brown, I think, with extra points, wrote earlier in the week, maybe last week, that there are some possibilities that the Maui might have to evolve or change because of the expenses to the teams participating in it, rather than like the players' era festival tournament where teams got paid to participate, $1 million, and the winner got an extra $1 million for a total of $2 million. So teams now, because they have to find the money to pay for the revenue sharing, pay the NIL. I just playing at MSG. Will UConn make enough money, be revenue, to not go to the Players Era Festival, for example, go to an MTE that will pay you X amount of dollars rather than you losing money? What do you think?
I mean, it just depends on the structure, because at the same time you can also get a charter together for your season ticket holders for away games, to where you package it in like, hey, we're going to charter a flight and hotel, and you'll have access, whatever. We'll let you come to a practice, whatever, and just to encourage your boosters, to give more money, just to get that extra access to the team.
Your connections with KU Athletics, Kansas Athletics, your contacts, colleagues, have you heard from them or any of your connections regarding burnout, from boosters? I'm already spending so much money to my program. Now y'all ask me to spend money for NIL. I just can't do it. When's enough? Have you heard?
Well, I mean, it's a slippery slope. You look at Jalen Daniels, quarterback, who everyone thought was gone. He still had an extra year eligibility because he redshirted last year, and it was announced over the weekend that Jalen Daniels is going to return for his 6th season.
Oh, I missed that. Okay, cool.
Oh, and not that. And if you read the wording of it, Jalen Daniels agrees to a new deal that will enable. They said deal, as in somebody ponied up some money. So it's the free agency that has become college athletics, because everyone's like, okay, maybe he'll go to USC because they have a need for a quarterback. He's from California. And so it said specifically agrees to a new deal. That's very much the language.
Now, yes, Kanisha, he could have transferred to Houston. It could be a quarterback too, Although they're in the
money talks.
Connor Wegman, the former Aggie quarterback. That would be an interesting conversation from his people to the Coug people. I'm looking for so much X amount of dollars.
Sure.
Houston.
But on a lot, but back to your original question. So not only, they had to, find money for Jalen Daniels and his new deal. They also announced this week about extended plans or expanded plans for their Gateway project. Right now, or this season, KU played their home games in Kansas City. Because their stadium is undergoing renovations, they were going to try and do it, in stages. Hey, maybe we could just do one side, but you really, in order to get it done on time, they were forced to play all their home games, away from home, or in Kansas City. Now there's, talk about, hey, we're, plans to build a Marriott hotel and a conference center and student housing and parking, so you get a more comprehensive look at what the plans are. The question is, where's this money coming from?
For sure.
Because right now, you don't have money to complete what's in progress on time.
You can do this, right? KP, just write that check and give it to them. Right?
That's above my pay grade.
So I'm just curious as where all this money is going to come from. But
and that's just football. Now, mind you, they Allen Fieldhouse received a renovation during the off season as well. So there's new lighting, new media room. There's a new broadcast studio, shall we say. There's a new scoreboard, larger, so that underwent, some overhaul as well, and by the way, hey, we need some more money to entice players to come or to stay.
Right? Because we're going to get to the SEC dominance in a second, but your thoughts on AJ DeBanza committing to BYU class as 2026 best player. He's NBA ready. He's that good. 6'8", 6'9". Reported NIL offers. I think what I sent you was the last number was $7 million. What I was told like a month or two ago, heck, it was December now, summertime, was around $4 to $5 million for him to go to BYU. It was huge.
To the highest bidder?
He was going to BYU. Okay, Alabama was in the mix. I think Kentucky was in the mix. He was going to BYU. I mean, from what I read, what was told to me, he's going to BYU. They can spin it all they, drama, suspended.
Sure, you dangle the carrot to increase the stock.
And that's what they did because, like I said, $4 to $5 million was in July, maybe August, latest August. Now to be $7 million. Again, it goes back to one of my initial points. I have no problem. Get that bag. AJ, get that bag. Hey, if those folks get in writing, though, get it in writing. Don't be left saying, y'all told me I was going to get, well, but you didn't sign anything, and then you left out in the cold. So don't
ask the the former UNLV quarterback about that.
Don't make those mistakes. But it's great for BYU. It's great for the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
They need some really good news in men's basketball after this disappointing non-conference men's hoops. Well, heck, women's hoops as well. But football slides are over. We're going to get there. Your thoughts on this? The NBA Cup, the knockout round began Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks beat the Magic. Thunder beat the Mavs. Knicks Hawks playing Wednesday night. As you're watching this, the game's already over. Have you watched any of the NBA Cup stuff? Me either. I'm a basketball guy.
No, I've been watching college hoops.
So yeah, me too.
I mean, NBA season's too long. Like, I'll catch you in the spring.
Don't let Adam Silver hear you say that. Although he watches the Takeover,
And like the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament with the tacky floors, missed me with that.
They're so gauche. They're
gaudy.
What who was it? Was it Boston's floor? Whoever has green in their colors. I think it's Boston or the Bucks. I think it's Boston. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I needed
sunglasses
to watch. I'm like, how? Oh.
Like you want to turn the chroma key down on the TV. Yeah.
My goodness gracious! But as we're recording this, Rockets Warriors are the last game of knockout round play. Make a prediction. Fans, you can comment on if we were right or wrong as you watch this on Thursday. Make a prediction. Rockets or Warriors. Rockets have lost to the Warriors, I think, 15 straight times. Okay, but this is different, Kanisha, because
money.
It's money. It's knockout round. It means more.
Does it though?
That's what they're trying to say, right?
It does. I don't know if it means more. It means something. I don't know what it means. It means we're good in December.
Well,
it doesn't mean we're going to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Like it means that we got paid. Is what it means.
The Rockets lost to the Steph-less, Draymond Green-less Warriors last week.
Right.
But will the streak end? It's home game. It's in Houston. Will the Rockets beat the Warriors and advance to Vegas for the semifinals? Yay or nay?
No.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah. Y'all can chime in that we're wrong in the comments, and that's okay. Don't gamble on what we say anything about prediction anyhow.
Look, that's why I don't gamble.
Yeah, please don't do that. But whoever wins, semifinals, 14th, Bucks versus the winner of the Knicks Hawks. Thunder versus the winner of the Rockets Warriors. Both of the games are in Vegas. And then the title game takes place on December 17th. I like this, so I was curious. The games played in the quarterfinals and the semifinals will count as regular season games. However, the championship game is the only NBA Cup game that will not count towards regular season records and stats. So whoever, Shea, SGA, Giannis, Jalen Green, Steph, Jalen Brunson, whoever, could go for 102 points. Break Wilt's record. Kenitra, no, didn't count. Didn't count because it happened in the NBA Cup championship game. Yeah, okay, that's a fail. But anyway, all right. Enjoy the games, but I really want to get into this. Get the net. This right here. This info is a little bit outdated. This is from Monday. So early this week, via the SEC's men's basketball weekly press release. This is what the Big 12 used to be as a whole last season. Just 1 year ago. But the SEC leads the nation with 5 teams ranked in the top 10 of the net. That used to be the Big 12. Tennessee first, Auburn second, Kentucky 5th, Florida 7th, Alabama 10th. The SEC leads the nation with 12 teams ranked in the top 50 of the net. That used to be the Big 12 last season. 8 SEC teams are currently quad 1 opponents, regardless of location. Again, that used to be the Big 12. 15 teams are either quad 1 or quad 2 opponents. That was Big 12 last season. I think Big 12 had everybody except West Virginia. I think last season was a quad 1 or quad 2. SEC teams have already amassed 19 wins in 34 games against quad 1 competition. They have a 33-18 record against quad 1 and quad 2 teams. The next slide, some of the info here blew my mind. SEC teams have won nearly 87% of their games this season. This one right here just blew me away. SEC teams are 46-16 against teams from the ACC, Big 12, Big East, Big 10. ACC, 26-3. I think it's now 27-3 because I think Tuesday was a different one.
Tennessee beat Miami.
Thank you. Big 12. I think that's outdated. I think that's now 13-2. But look this is just mind-blowing. Big East 4-4. Big 10 now 5-7 because Arkansas beat Michigan. This is just a tremendous success non-conference for men's basketball in the SEC. SEC teams are 15-7 against teams ranked in the AP top 25, including 6-2 against teams ranked in the top 10. The SEC is a top-ranked conference by Ken Pom. That used to be the Big 12. It used to be the Big 12's domain for 6 out of the last 8 years or 5 out of 7, something like that. 5 SEC teams are ranked in the top 10 of Ken Pom's team rankings. 13 are in the top 50. And all 16 teams rank in the top 70. Miss Kenitra Williams, just your thoughts on those numbers. Some of those numbers for the
it's something to brag about now.
And they are.
But once the matchups are set in March, how many SEC teams do you get to advance to the second weekend?
Yes. And that's where it's going to matter.
Yeah. And how many can you get, into your Final Four? So yeah, it looks great now, and just the way that Cal got his guy. They got down early. Still trying to find their way, but then they get up. Double digits over a top 15 Michigan team. On a neutral site. And then able to hold on for the win. And then, it's you have these marquee non-conference games, but then you look at conference play has already started.
Yes. Yes.
which is like crazy. Like Big Ten, ACC, like they've started conference play, and like some of them are like 2 games in.
Yep. And the Big 12 men's conference starts the end of this month.
Yeah, it's usually like right around New Year's.
Yeah. So, heck, even on a smaller scale, the Southland Conference men's hoops has already played 2 conference games. I mean, this is December, people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different era, different time in basketball, and scheduling and TV partners are looking for more content, and it's at the detriment of non-conference games, but playing more conference games. And the schedule all out of whack. You played.
But I mean, reportedly, this is the last year of the Big 12 Big East Challenge.
Yes.
And a lot of people thought, since your reigning national champs in UConn came to Allen Fieldhouse last year, everyone thought like, oh, the return to Stores would be this year for KU, but instead, no, they weren't matched up against each other. And like Hurley didn't really sound surprised. He's like, I knew we played, one of the top tier, Houston, Baylor. Didn't necessarily think it would be Kansas, and in fact, it wasn't. So Kansas played Creighton, for their Big East matchup. So and then in fact, UConn got Baylor. But I mean, so it's there's not really an exact science on how those interconference
right and
games are played.
What 6-5 Big 12, something like that? Is that right?
Yeah, like the home team won on all 11 games. Home team won,
and the Big 12 people were the ones who wanted to end the battle, the Big 12 Big East battle.
Because it was the Big 12 SEC.
Right. And the SEC ESPN said, no, we're going to do the SEC ACC.
And it was ACC Big 10.
They might change that based on, what was it again? The dominance, the shellacking the SEC did this year. So that might change. But the Big 12 said no more to the future of the Big 12 battle, because they felt like, what is it to gain for us playing the dregs of the Big East? So that's why they wanted to end it. That's what I was told. So kind of a little arrogance there, but I'm playing out there.
And so maybe as of late, the Big 12 prides itself on being competitive balance. Top to bottom. But I guess in their opinion, there's more separation between the haves and have-nots in the Big East.
In the Big East, yes. I want to touch on this, and I got.
But it wasn't like they blew. It wasn't like they blew out. In the 11 matchups, it wasn't like they dominated.
Oh no, not at all. But I wanted to touch on this. This is from last week. Yes. Because you and I talked about what is it going to take for Big 12 women's basketball to gain more fans in Kansas City, more people to come to the games, get larger attendance. The Big 12 announced, this is now, 2 weeks old. This is right around, was it Black Friday? I think it was. Announced for the first time the league will offer tickets for a weekend-only ticket package for the 2025 Big 12 Women's Basketball Championship, which is in Kansas City, T-Mobile Center. It runs from March 5th through 9th or 10th. So it'll be on Monday, the 10th, if BYU women's team advances to the championship game. Because
so they have to take Sunday off.
They don't play on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt BYU will get there, but who knows? I know one Cougar team won't get there for sure. But I digress on that. But tickets are on sale for this first of its kind offer, see what I did there, by the league, and can be purchased at Big12Sports.com. What are your thoughts on this promotional package that the Big 12 is offering?
I mean, you want to try something to get attendance, but it's just hard because if you want to make it a family event, if your kids aren't on spring break, you're not going to take them out of school for an entire week to come to Kansas City. If you don't know, Iowa State, they travel well,
Yes.
but that's also a drivable trip.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit here and come in on a Tuesday and stay till the following Monday. You got to take a week off work.
Yeah.
And then take your kids out of school for a week, because not everybody, even in Kansas City, school district calendars aren't the same. Even on the Missouri side, in the Kansas City suburbs, their calendars aren't the same. Not to mention Kansas versus Missouri, those calendars aren't the same. So if you're not local, it's ambitious. I don't know if it's realistic.
Fair enough. So, is it because, and there's the last note of it, all 16 teams will participate in the championship with the top 4 finishing teams in the league's regular season standings receiving a double bye into the quarterfinals, while teams that finish the 5th through 8th will receive 1 bye into the second round. The Houston Cougars women's team will not be in either one of those. It won't be an issue. They won't be in top 4. They won't be in top 8. They'll be in bottom 4, 13 through 16, barring some miracle. Kanicha, there's just no way. They're down to 7 players and a walk-on. They're 3-7. Morale is kind of iffy because they're struggling. Injuries are piling up. The players are human. They're hearing the scuttlebutt around the program, too, about Coach Hugh and the staff. So I wish them well, but in these final moments of this edition of the go ahead. What are you going
to the fast pass or whatever. You're trying to promote it and get them to buy. You don't. Conference play hasn't even started. So how do you even know where your team, are they going to finish in the top 4? Are they going to finish in the middle? Are they going to finish, so number one, if they finish, top 4, so they get double bye. So why would you buy? You have to be a hardcore basketball fan to come watch not your team play. Number 2, if your team is playing early the first day, in all likelihood, they won't be playing 5 days later.
Very true. Great point.
So that's the things, you want someone to come and stay for the duration. It's not realistic to think that, okay, you just have these diehard basketball fans, because at the same time, what about if your team is successful, the upper echelon of Big 12, they're probably going NCAA tournament. You might want to go support your team in a really good location, a chance to go to UConn or to go to Columbia, South Carolina. I don't know. So it just.
So then the flip side of that, the counter to that, is why do more fans do that for men's hoops in the Big 12?
It's different. It's different, as much as, we want to champion women's sports, there is a difference in attendance, men versus women. And it's not isolated. It's not just a Big 12 issue.
Fair enough. On that realistic note, it is reality. It's disappointing, but it is reality. Have you settled on a new social media platform yet?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Who are you again, man? Let's wrap it up on this day of the Takeover.
I am contributing journalist, Kanicha Williams.
Thank you, as always, for your insight, your knowledge. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. We can do this one more time before Christmas. Next Wednesday, work for you. Thank you again. Reminder to everyone. Visit BayouBeatNews.com because they are a sponsor of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. BayouBeatNews.com. Bayou Beat, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. Also, didn't do it a lot, but folks, order your Houston Roundball Review merch. New logo, new merch, new hoodies, cap designs, all those things. My hoodie's coming in a few days. I'm gonna walk around looking fly like I always do. Ha ha ha. But order your merch. Click on the shop button when you're watching the show on YouTube. Click on those shop buttons so you can buy your merch. Supporting the Houston Roundball Review. Advertise on the show as well. Email advertise@thehrr.com. Wrapping it up. This is an informative show. Thank you for everyone commenting on the show. Tell your friends about the show. Tell your friends about the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. Tell your friends about me, KG Chris Gardner, and KP, Kenitra Pulliams. And I almost forgot this, Kenitra. If you want to be new school, support the Houston Roundball Review via these different these money apps. The Cash App, Zelle, PayPal. See it going across the screen there. That's different ways to make direct contributions to the Houston Roundball Review. The easiest way outside of that is clicking on the Google ads that are on the platforms, on the blog posts, Men's Who's blog, Women's Who's blog, the HR.com. Easy to click on those ads until your thumb stops working. Just click on those ads until you're blue in the face. But seriously, everyone, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to watch the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat. And always remember this: since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review, local name, global perspective. Everyone, take care. Peace.